Hi, this video is a little bit risky, not risque, but risky because it's going to show me not looking very smart at all. And since I'm in the business of coaching entrepreneurs, I hummed and hawed whether I would start sharing some of these stories. But the truth is, while I've had some huge wins in business and some very, very successful eight-figure coaching businesses, had software businesses. I've built and sold 3 businesses. I better just get that in there early because what you're about to hear next will make you wonder, is this girl daft? Because I've had some also, as well as these big wins, some expensive lessons and mistakes along the way. And while the internet is full of people saying I am awesome, I thought what I would do is say I have made some big mistakes and do a series. I'm going to find 10. I don't even think that's going to be too hard to think of 10 things I wish I'd known or wish I'd done differently or, came along in life as a very expensive or humiliating, if it wasn't even financial, lesson. So the first one is in a little series I've put together. And you should subscribe and watch all of these because they're all quite varied. And I consider myself fairly risk averse. I certainly, I'm not reckless, but I'm also kind of ambitious and I'm very hardworking. So there was a stage about 3 or 4 years ago, probably 3 years, and lockdown, pandemic stuff was settling back down, life was returning to normal. And I'd had a business that was cranking. I had a really, really, really successful business at the time, spitting out cash, piling up, burning a hole in my pocket. And so I did a little bit of property stuff in New Zealand where I live, but we're all taught to diversify asset classes and also the exchange rate was really good. So I was enjoying that, but I kind of made a poor choice, a bad call. So I'd been buying little website businesses and these were all going very nicely. I was sort of rolling them up and I was getting really good rate of return off my investments. I was able to sort of barter pretty hard to buy off online brokerage sites and then run these businesses. And so I was really happy with how everything was tracking. And then I saw one come along that was just like my dream business. It was like, this is built for me. And it was for sale. It was called coursereviewers.com. You won't find it now. Spoiler alert. But it was a website that reviewed online courses. And here I was, an online educator running courses all day, rolling my eyes at, some of the stuff that gets sold as online courses, and then also hopefully running my own good courses, but also when I buy people, because there are some really good ones out there too, and some of them are business, but some of them are personal or professional, personal development rather than professional, and some of them are even kind of quite formal education. I just did a MIT online learning course that I thought was really good. I was like, I could start reviewing all these like university courses as well, like the continuing education ones. So at the time of buying it, Course Reviewers reviewed things like Masterclass. In fact, it was the number 2 affiliate for Masterclass, which was a lot more expensive back then too, actually, I have to say. So it was tens of thousands of dollars a month income, and I paid 6 figures for Course Reviewers, and I'll keep some of the rest of the details confidential because there's a lot of egg on a lot of people's faces, but mainly me. And I'm not laughing, but I do want to share this with you. So the lesson was that I bought a business that relied on the Google algorithm. That is the whole story pretty much right there. The algorithm changed. And I'd actually been a little bit smug because the algorithm changed to that helpful content update, which knocked out loads of people. And one of the things that it really didn't like was review sites, because there were so many of these really sort of cheap and nasty kind of affiliate link jammed review sites. It would be about lawnmowers and there'd be no really good quality content. It was just blog post after blog post after blog post reviewing all the different lawnmowers, but really just they were going to get commission either way. It wasn't sort of a quality comparison or review. Maybe they hadn't even seen these lawnmowers. They might have been written by people in apartments. So Google kind of was a bit cool on review sites, and in that update slammed them. But good old Course Reviewers, I thought, well, we're unscathed. I've got a nice YouTube thing going. I've got really quality articles that were all written by humans. I'd watched. When I bought it, it had a bunch of articles that were going really well and getting great commission. Plus there was ad traffic and it ranked really high. We were on page 1 of all these different Google searches for different reviews. Is such and such course worth it? And sometimes it would be honest and say, not such a great course, or yes, this is a great course. And it would have the link to buy it and that would earn me commission as an affiliate link. So I thought the model was neat, and I thought it was a really nice way for me to stay online, do something I love doing, and diversify away from kind of what was quite Amazon heavy. I was like, I need to get away from Amazon. I just live and breathe on Amazon. and coaching stuff around Amazon, let's do something new. So I thought this was an absolute goldmine. I thought, it's quality, it's written by humans. This was all a little bit pre-AI. AI was just sort of coming out. So it was well-written articles by real people about real courses, high-ticket purchases, carefully reviewed, honestly reviewed, even me personally doing videos talking through my review of some of these courses. And it just went overnight. Gone, burger. Not ever seen again, like no traffic, not like tapering, just stopped. So that was harsh, no warning. I hadn't broken any rules. It was just I was no longer the golden girl in the perfect crosshairs of how Google's algorithm fed up page one search results. So I did have some customer contacts because through the affiliate stuff you do get a certain amount of data, but nobody needs to buy the same courses again. So I had a bit of a database, but I just had no cash flow. That was the problem. It was a business that the only cash flow was from Amazon ads and affiliate income. And both of those are two different sources of the income, but they both rely on that one algorithm. So I knew I had to do work to maintain my spot, but I bought something that was performing pretty well and it looked like a solid asset. Good traffic, clear revenue, never any issues, never any warnings, really good relationship with all the different partners that we promoted. Any courses that we reviewed, they were across a whole bunch of different big platforms and on different topics, business, personal. Some were subscription based like Masterclass, so some of those went on for a while. But the morning that traffic stopped, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So a lot of other people got wiped out slightly earlier than me, and I thought I'd got through it fine and unscathed, but no, it was a few months after everyone else seemed to get the main wallop, I was gone. So a lot of affiliate sites lost sort of 90% of their traffic and most never recovered. And sad story here, course reviewers never recovered. So I had various assets out of it, but the entire business was Google sending strangers to a page. And when Google stopped, I couldn't find the strangers and the pages earned nothing. So the real lesson here was that borrowed traffic isn't an asset. So if you are just relying on fleeting moment algorithm results to drive your business, you're dependent on something that you can't control. And so all the big platforms rely on algorithms. And even if you're very clever how you build your business, you think you've diversified, you've got different partners or you've got different income streams, it all still comes down to those big tech giants. And some of them are more predictable than others. Google always wants the search results to be relevant. And, they've always come down really hard on any bad actors fiddling the rules and, getting tricky with SEO. And they want it to be a good experience for customers. So they want relevancy. Amazon's very predictable as well. Any policy or algorithm updates, they obviously want to make money, but more than maximizing dollars, they want the customers to have a really good online experience as well. So really high trust. Amazon takes their review process really, really seriously, or if something doesn't match its photos, you're off with your head. So Amazon's very strict, but the rules of the game. They make money when you make money. Their model is much more tied to your actual sale, but they always look after their customers first. And then things like best practice for an Instagram video ad or something. How fast would that change? Anything that cuts through and captures the reader's attention, it might be great, but then you have to always kind of keep updating it. So really, these big tech giants, there's only a handful of them where most trade is happening, where most attention is being spent by consumers and where most purchases are happening. It's either, a Shopify site or Amazon for physical products. Now it's Shein and Temu, and I think Alibaba might be a little bit on the ropes. I heard this week somebody made a $300,000 bet that Alibaba's basically bottomed out, get various stock trading things in my inbox. So that was kind of interesting. But there's only so many big platforms and they all run on an algorithm and they're all about the customer's buying experience, and also the platforms need to make money. So things I learned in this exercise is stay in your lane. So Amazon's always been really good to me and I'm still doing great sales on Amazon every month through my ebooks. So I like Amazon. It's a very commercial, straight company. They're, just so black and white with their rules. And although there's a whole bunch of people trying to unpick the inner workings of the algorithm of exactly what number of reviews triggers this thing in the back end of the black box of the algorithm, I'm not so interested in that. I know if it's a quality product with quality real reviews that, even if there's some seasonal stuff or some slow takeoff, it'll meet search traffic demand and sell. So if your traffic source disappears tomorrow, what would you do with your business? So this is a question to ask as you design your business. And the question isn't whether an algorithm change, when will it change? Sorry. The question isn't whether the algorithm change will happen or not, it's when it's going to happen. So they're always going to be tweaking it to optimize financial stuff for them, but also they might just bring in a new rule, or they might ban anything written with AI or something. So you really need to own your own database. So I've had a little dabble in the world of Google, which it wasn't even really an SEO business. It was, an affiliate. I had lots of relationships, lots of existing articles. But my little dabble into a Google algorithm-based business didn't go well. But some of the platforms that have gone really well are things like having a coaching business where my database sits on Kajabi, my content sits on that same platform. I deliver the weekly calls, I do my one-on-one calls through a platform where I own my clients. I've got their details. They know me, they can get in touch with me anytime. I can send an email to all of them, or can do marketing to anyone on the leads list. All those things are possible because I own that database. So I'm never again going to build my house upon the sand, and I'm always going to make sure that very early on in any business that I'm gathering email addresses at the very least, and really getting some actual hard assets that I own and control, rather than putting stuff out to somebody else's platform and hoping it keeps sticking, because one day you might become unstuck. So that was part one of my series of hard knocks and lessons in 13 years of entrepreneurship. So I have had, just to sandwich this with, my little intro where I said I have had some really big and successful businesses and still running those now. I've sold 3 businesses. I just sold a software business recently that ran Amazon ads. That was my first AI game, and I'm not techie. I didn't write the code for that, but that was a fun project, and it solved a real problem for authors who do not enjoy running ads on Amazon. And I've got a new project now where I'm helping business owners write books, which is kind of a service, but kind of neat packaged up. It's almost like a product service, which I really like. That's sort of my favorite type of business. And I've got, really nice quality people that I'm working with who've got great ideas and want to grow their businesses. So that's one thing I'm doing. And then the other thing I'm doing is just helping entrepreneurs get started. So just that sort of pick your model, pick your platform. What's the best mix and match of, your skills, your interests, what you're good at? Where would the customers be for your type of offer? And building that up from scratch. So I've had about 10 years publishing books on Amazon and selling products on Amazon. So I'm still helping people with book publishing. But what I've learned through all these different things I've experimented with over these 13 years, and some of these things I started or had an idea of something to start, some I bought, and some of those have gone really well. I've got a great little subscription business I bought that's been a cracker. No maintenance, not even low maintenance. I do nothing. It's just keeps on going. So I've had some great investments that I bought, and a lot of the ideas I tried out, there's some good lessons of why they didn't work out. So I'll keep sharing those. If you like hearing the epic fails, just let me know in the comments and I'll keep them coming. I've got lots. Some of them only lasted, a day. It was a great idea and this is why it didn't work. And that's, saves somebody else going down that rabbit hole of getting excited about something, but there was a fatal flaw. The sooner you spot a fatal flaw, the better. And the more you learn from other people's mistakes or what didn't work out, the better as well. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm a little bit in two minds how much and whether I'm oversharing, but let me know if you would like more of these because I can keep it very real. Okay, see you in the next video.